Next, we're going to talk about the matrix, a function that is increasingly present on Arturia's products, and it's because it allows you modular control without the modular aspects that are expensive and unwieldy, like millions of jacks and millions of cables. These are basically virtual cables. They are non-cable connections. So we have a matrix, and the matrix is set up to allow us a number of modulation sources and modulation destinations. And it's just that simple, because if you have, a certain amount of outputs and a certain amount of inputs, it's safe to assume that an output is going to go to an input on a modular synthesizer. So basically the matrix is just set up to do these very common connections. And then in addition to the preset sources and destinations, we also have some destinations we can set ourselves, making this as an inexpensive synthesizer, a very powerful synthesizer, because we also get to decide where our modulation destinations are. Along the left, we have the cycling envelope, LFO1, LFO2, velocity, aftertouch, wheel, and of course, keyboard. Those are our sources of modulation, and our destinations, as currently stated, pitch 1 and 2 simultaneously, wave 1, timbre 1, cutoff. So those are some really common destinations that you could be wanting to set. Operation of this matrix is super simple. It couldn't be more simple. Okay, when this amount light is off, it means you are in the mode that allows you to select a patch point, and a patch point is any intersection between a source and a destination. So if we wanted to go to LFO1, we see the blinking light. That means we have selected the intersection of LFO1 and pitch for oscillators 1 and 2. We click that, it will blink quickly and then hold. Now we see this light lit and this held. That means we are set to deal with this patch point. And we deal with the patch point by setting the degree to which the LFO is going to affect the pitches of oscillators 1 and 2. So we start to turn the matrix knob, and we can see that there's an amount that's being set. So if we started at 0, we'd hear nothing. But as we speed this up, we're going to hear LFO1 affecting the pitch of oscillators 1 and 2. And that is basically what is going on. If we want to turn that off, let's say we do. And we would rather, I've just turned that off. Now we're back in the mode where we can make a selection. If we'd rather have it affect timbre 1, which is the timbre of oscillator 1. Let's get on oscillator 1. Let's turn off oscillator 2. Go to oscillator 1, where now we will adjust the timbre. We'll select that and we'll turn it up. So right now LFO1, let's put it on something we can hear the effect with. So now LFO1 is affecting the timbre function of the oscillator that is superwave. And so if we were to speed up the LFO right now, and of course we can set the amount. We can set it negative, which makes more sense with something like an envelope than an LFO. But that is, at core, the simplicity of the matrix. Get out of the mode where you're actually addressing a particular patch point. You can just select any patch point at any point, and then select it, and then add the amount you want it to be. Now, if you are in a rush and you don't want to mess around, you're moving around all these patch points, one thing you can do. Okay, so you can also, when you're in this mode where you're just scooting around, as you might recall, The matrix knob, or you probably don't know this, we haven't talked about it, the matrix knob is actually a button too. So like as you're going around, if you get to something you want to make a connection and set the amount in one fell swoop, you can press it as a button and then turn it as you're pressing it down. And that allows you to select it and decide what you want to put there. So that's what I've done there. Okay, so what we have not spoke of yet is the assign buttons up here. So let's say you want to assign your own destination. We'll choose an amount. Right now, though, this is not assigned to anything. And if you wanted to assign it to something, all you'd have to do is, for example, and we need to do this. Let me point this out. Okay, you'll notice that like wave 1 and timbre 1 are preset patch points that you can just choose. But what about wave 2 and timbre 2? Those aren't preset. So you might want to, on your second oscillator, which we're going to select superwave. Let's say on this superwave, you want to mess with the timbre. We're on oscillator 2. Oscillator 1's timbre, which is a preset destination, isn't going to help you in this case. So what you will want to do is do what I've just done. Go to your first assign, and then just hold the button and make the selection. There, and it even says timbre 2. Now, timbre 2, your cycling envelope is affecting the timbre knob. It is modulating the timbre knob of oscillator 2, and it's just that simple. That's how you do it. And pretty much anything that you want to select is available to be selected simply holding a button and choosing a knob. For example, let's do shape 2. So now we can select that, go to here, turn it up, shape 2. Not exactly the most noticeable thing. I could have done this completely. Here, let's just do it differently. Ready? We'll go over here and choose like LFO1. Turn that up. Okay, there we can hear it. So now LFO1 is affecting modulating shape 2 because we've made this... we've made assign to the button associated with shape. Okay, let's for fun, go to assign 3 and do resonance or something, whatever. And then we'll go to LF, let's see, we'll go to, I don't know, the wheel and have that go way crazy. So in this instance, it's not helping us a lot. So in this case, I have just chosen the wheel as our modulation source. I've assigned assign 3 to the resonance and the filter. Then I just went to that connection and turned it up when we were in the mode that allows us to turn it up with the matrix knob. It is that simple. Now, you may have noticed this whole time, the assign 1 light is lit, and yet I'm choosing these other buttons and they're not lighting up. It's because there are 3 levels of modulation destinations here, and you select them. Basically, there are 3 pages of 3 selections. So right now we have these first selections, and we can actually see them by pressing shift and then the first button. We're choosing page 1 basically of these functions, and we can see the ones that the choices we made: timbre 2, shape 2, and what was the last one? So now we can even, simply by pressing shift and pressing that button, we can see what these 3 things are currently set to. But maybe you have those set, but you want to go on to 3 more assigned destinations. And then you would just press shift and then press the second button. We can see none of those are assigned. And then we would just do the same thing that we had done before, where we hold a button, turn a knob, hold the next button, turn a knob, hold the next button, turn a knob. And then again, using the shift and pressing the button, we can see what choices we just made. So then when you see this light on, it means you currently have selected the second page of assignable modulation destinations. And then of course, if you want to go to the third, shift, hold 3, the light lights, you know you are on the third set of the 3 assignable modulation destinations, which is to say you have 9 assignable modulation destinations, which is really convenient. It seems like something someone would complain about. Oh, I only have 3 assignable destinations. I want different ones. Well, actually you have 9, and that's just how you select amongst them. Now, another thing you can do is that by pressing the shift button on a selected assignable destination, you can then use the matrix knob to make decisions about where that is actually directed. And you can set it up so that a particular channel is modulated, its modulation is modulated by another source, which allows you to, for example, use the wheel to choose the amount of a modulation. Because when you're making these destination connections, if you're putting the LFO to the pitch, it's a set LFO modulation. You set the amount and then it's just really set. But this has the provision when you do this to allow you to assign a wheel to it, or velocity to it, or an LFO to it, which will modulate the amount of the modulator affecting the destination. Does that make sense? So, and that is just accessing all of those functions is just a matter of holding down shift and then using the matrix knob, which you can see destination choices and etc. So that's where you would set that. So I've been using the matrix this whole time, and so you've seen me, but now from now on, just doing the last few things, you'll know what I've been doing. In fact, during the oscillators, it would have been great if I was setting up these modulation sources, because it's really great to hear modulation of the wave, timbre, and shape, but it's easier in the midst of a long demonstration to just grab the knob and show you what it would sound like if a modulation source was affecting one of these destinations. But this is the right way to do it. You would have selected your LFO and then directed it to the wave knob, or wave destination, or wave knob if you're in the assigned section, in order to have various parameters of the oscillators modulated over time, which is really the strength of the synthesizer. And that is the patch panel on the Arturia MiniFreak.